So before I start with the Stoner Square, I have to make a correction, right? Last week I said Big Sean had an outro that was kind of replayed a song. That's because when I listen to these songs, I'm not looking at my DSP, or in this case Apple Music. I'm not looking at it, each song or the album title, all that as it plays. So I expected it to be an outro, but the next song was actually a video. And a video, as you know, if you're listening through speakers, a video just plays as music because you're not looking at your phone. So that's why I kind of got that wrong and thought, hey, why did you just put that song right back in there? Was there a mistake? Turns out it was a video, and that's how Apple Music does it. It just adds the video at the end. So I have to reverse that outro number that I gave Big Sean. So now Big Sean's album last week is a 10 out of a 10. Congratulations, Big Sean. You got a hit. This album is gonna be a classic. If it's a 10 out of 10, it's gonna be a classic. That's just what it is. So let's move on to what did I listen to. I wanted to get to NBA YoungBoy this week. I really wanted to get to NBA YoungBoy, but I didn't have the chance. I just didn't have the chance to do it. I tried to listen while I gamed a little bit while I was streaming, but I can't really listen to it while I stream anymore because all my I'm getting DCMA'd by Twitch. So they're muting my audios and removing my videos from the video on demand. So we're just gonna have to stop doing that. That's what I'm trying to say. We're gonna have to stop doing that. Now that I've said Big Sean got a 10 out of a 10, let me talk about the Stoner criteria before getting to the Stoner score. In this Stoner score, I'm going to be talking about Conway's album. Conway just dropped a new album, and it's called From King to God. From King to God. That's what I'm going to be reviewing on the Stoner score right now. And if you're new and if you're old, I made a little change to the Stoner score after the last week's debacle. I knew it was time to make a little bit of a change. So I'm going to go over the Stoner score, and I'm going to talk about what actually just changed on the score. Now, if you're new, and of course, if you're older, you're reoccurring, I don't want to say older, reoccurring, what is the name? It's Stoner Gang they came up with. So Stoner Gang, if you're part of the Stoner Gang, so you already know the criteria. But it's out of a 10 from these 10 criterias: artwork, title, intro. And this is what changed from previous Stoner score. This is the new one. So are you listening? Pay attention to this new one. It used to be outro. So now I removed outro, and now it's Time to Live. Time to Live is the new number 4. And what Time to Live means is it gonna live for a long time? Are we gonna come back in the future and play this album and be like, oh my God, I remember this time? So is it time to live? I know it sounds like replay over time, but replay over time is more like replay value, basically. Am I gonna listen to the same song over and over and over and over and over again? Because I'm psycho. That's what replay over time means. But Time to Live means if I'm gonna come back to this mood, this vibe, this album, this frequency in the future. All right, so that's what number 4 is, Time to Live. Number 5 is still use of features. Number 6 is still less than 30% skip on first listen, replay over time. This number 7. Number 8, content. Are you saying something? The beat selection, which is the composition. And number 10 is the streets happy or is satisfaction guaranteed. So that's what the Stoner score, ladies and gentlemen. And today we're going to be talking about Conway's album, From King to, you guessed it, God. No, you didn't guess it. I actually really forgot. So I had to pull it from my memory. So I just used that you guessed it to act like, it's a pause. I did it on purpose. But nah, From King to God. That's what we're going to be talking about today. I listened to this album. Let me put it up on my screen so I can see the criteria while I go through this. So number 1, artwork. The artwork is debatable. It's debatable. It's artistic, but it's a little debatable on this one. It's just he's looking picturesque, I should say, looking away from the camera, turning his back to the camera, wearing a crown that says King. I believe, yeah, it says King, right? No, hold on. Let me look this. I thought it said King, but it's not looking like that's what it says. I hate when I'm here trying to decipher motherfucking album artworks and shit on there, but it says FKIG. Oh, I'm tripping. Oh, of course I'm tripping. That's Gary Payton. This Stoner Score is brought to you by the Spike from Gary Payton. So it's basically from King to God. That's the crown. That's what it says in gold letters. I actually just thought it said King this whole time, but it says FKIG or FKTG. All right, so saying all that, artwork is a dub. uh, I'm not so keen on this one, so that's gonna be zero on the artwork for me. From King to God. Now, I've come to really dislike the value of the term God as of late. You know, everybody's a God now. You know, they remove the like part. God like. That's the full term. God like, but no, everybody's just a God now. If you make a little bit of money, you're considered a God now. So title from King to God. Nah, G, not feeling that. It's just because of the term, just because of the valuation of God now. And maybe they all have their own different meaning of what a God is, and not the. I'm not gonna go into that. I'm gonna stop right there. So that's 0 out of 2 so far. I didn't like the artwork. I didn't like the title. From King to God, nah. So number 3 is intro. Yes. So now let's talk about the actual music part. You already got a dub on the artistic part, but let's talk about the actual music part. So the intro, that's a yes. Yes, I like the intro. The time to live. Okay, because this is the new part of the show. The time to live. I would have to explain this a lot because it's new and it just time to live doesn't really sound like a real criteria or a category, but time to live, I would say yes. Yes, we in the future we will come back to this vibe, this Griselda flow. Although they're finally having their moment now, people are finally appreciating Griselda flow. Although it's been around for hip hop, it's been around for a while, so people are finally appreciating it. So I'll say the time to live is most definitely, we will come back to this in the future to just catch the vibe of this album. So the time to live is a yes. The use of features is a yes. Everybody flowed in through perfectly. So the use of features is a yes. Less than 30% skip on first listen. Yes, because it's the vibe was like, it was, I don't want to say static all the way through, like the same wavelength all the way through, but it really was a mood. You didn't have to skip because when you start with the intro, you know what you're getting into. You don't just, it doesn't just take a huge left turn and then you're like, hey, this is just messed up my mood. I have to skip this now. So less than 30% skip on first listen. That's another yes. Replay over time. As a casual fan, this is just replay value. Does he have hits in this album that's gonna require replay? I know this number 7 replay over time was, you might be confused as the new number 4, which is time to live, as mean come back in the future to play this. So does it have high replay value? No. It doesn't, unless you're a huge hyper fan. And again, this is as a casual fan, not as a hyper, fan in the, you followed him from underground and now he's finally made it to the mainstream. You're gonna be replaying all his shit because you're a diehard fan. You feel me? So replay over time, that's a no for me. The contents are they saying something? Yes, he actually was saying something on this one. I appreciate it. You learned a little more about him on this album. So that's saying a lot. That's saying a lot. I'm learning a little bit more about you. So you're saying something. Beat selection, yes. Because If it passes less than 30% skip on first listen, that means the beat selection kind of, just it flowed together. It's coherent. You see what I'm saying? It's coherent. So the beat selection is a yes. In is satisfaction guaranteed? Most definitely. Satisfaction is guaranteed on this album. Most definitely. The streets are happy with this one. And, it could give us another project. We're waiting for the next project. He's good to go, Check go and move on to the next one. The streets are definitely satisfied with this album. So out of a 10, from King to God, this album got about a 7, I believe. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, and that is a 7, I believe. I had to recount that because Gary Payton is on this the menu today on the Rolling Stoner podcast, so that's what that is. I